Hello and welcome to day 9 of my Advent of Code series for 2020. If you've missed any of the previous days and you want to get caught up, check out the playlist linked right up here, and be sure to subscribe to me and turn on notifications with the little bell down below so you don't miss any future videos. So today what we have to do is, now that we've dealt with that video game, we are trying to figure out how to connect our computer to the little screen on our plane, which uses a non-standard port, which we managed to connect to with several paper clips. Sounds super shady, but I guess it works. The thing that we have to do though is we have to decrypt the data that's coming through, which is using this cipher right here, where the first 25 numbers of the list that we get are a preamble, and then every number after that to be considered valid has to be a sum of two of the numbers in the previous 25 that came before it. So that means that for the 26th number, it has to be between the 1st and 25th. We have to find two numbers that sum up to it, and if there aren't, then it's invalid. And then for the 27th, it has to be between the 2nd and 26th, and on and on and on. So the idea here is we need to find the first thing in our puzzle input that is actually invalid. So this bears some similarities, if you'll notice, to the day 1 puzzle. I highly recommend you go ahead and give this a try before watching my code, which we are going to jump into right now. So the first thing I do is, when I read in our cipher, I map int onto all of the objects in it just to get them away from strings and into ints, because we're going to be doing actual math with them, and then convert that back to a list, and we return that as our cipher. So the next thing that I do is we have this isValid function here, which takes an index and the cipher. So it then defines the target, which is what we need to check whether we are summing up to that with two numbers, as the thing that is at that cipher, and the previous list as the index minus 25 through the index of that list. So that's going to give us the 25 things that came before this in the list. So the first thing that we do is the same sort of edge case issue that we had in day 1. We're checking to make sure that if target divided by 2 occurs more than once in the list, then we know that that's true. We have to check this separately because it would break the way that we are doing our checks in our loop down below. And then what we do is we convert previous to a set, and we get rid of target divided by 2 using the discard instead of remove, because if we run remove and that is not in fact in the set, then it's going to give us an issue, but if we just use it with discard, it's going to completely ignore it if it's not in the set. So then what we do is we loop through every single number in the set. We check if what we need to add to that to get our target is available in the set. If so, then we return true, and we know that we're fine. But if we run through that entire loop and we do not find a match, then we return false, and this is not valid. So then in our part 1, we're just looping through every single number from the one at index 25 onwards. And if it's not valid, then we return that number, and that is our part 1. So that is going to be it for part 1 of that puzzle. Pretty easy. And now we move on to part 2. So the final step in breaking that cipher is we need to find a contiguous set of at least 2 numbers in the list of our entire cipher that add up exactly to the invalid number that we found before. So then once we find that, we need to return the sum of the minimum and maximum values of that contiguous set, not the first and last, which is how I read it the first time, which is why you saw I had an extra run of my code there. So that is it. You just need to find a contiguous set and return the minimum and maximum values of it added together. So I want you to go ahead and try this puzzle out on your own, and we will jump into my code if you want to see that right about now. So for part 2, what we are doing is, first of all, we need to find what our invalid number is. So I'm actually calling part 1 and setting that to be our target. So then what I'm doing is I am running through with the index and the actual number, the enumeration of the cipher. And for each number in that cipher, I'm setting run to a list which at first contains number, which this list is going to hold all of the values in our contiguous run. And next is our next thing that we need to add to that list, so the next index that we need to add to that list. So while sum of run is less than target, this is our loop to make sure that we are adding up all of the values that are going to be required. We append cipher sub next to the run, so that's going to be, since we already have cipher sub I in our run right here, we're adding sub I plus 1, and then we're adding 1 to next, so that on the next run it will get the next number after that. So then once this loop finishes running, we check to make sure that our length of run is both greater than or equal to 2, because we needed a contiguous run of more than 2, so that we're not just returning the actual value that we need. And we also need to make sure that the sum of run is equal to the target that we are looking for. And if that's the case, then we go ahead and return the minimum value of run added to the maximum value of run. So that's it for part 2. Again, a pretty easy one. So that is it for today, actually. I highly recommend that you go ahead and check out some of the other puzzles if you haven't done them yet. Day 7 is a particular favorite of mine. As we see, the map is starting to take shape here. I'm assuming this is us going from the North Pole using our sled to get to the first airport and then our second airport, and I assume we're going to be going down to our next airport next. So yeah, it's exciting to see how the map is shaping up for this year. I will see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to get subscribed so you don't miss any future ones, and check out the playlist if you haven't seen my previous videos on Advent of Code, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.